Welcome to Astrology channel. I'm your host Vishal Sathye. Today we'll analyze for the Scorpio Ascendant what happens when the Ascendant Lord Mars is exalted in the third house. If you look at the videos on the internet, very stereotype explanations are given on this placement. I'll try to share some of my experiences, the results which I have found out through several years of astrological consultation. So let's begin. This position, Mars being exalted in the third house for the Scorpio Ascendant, is very typical, and prima facie this is very strong position for Mars. And first let us discuss the very basic outcomes of this position. As the Ascendant Lord is Mars and he is exalted in the third house, so the body is very healthy. The person is a go-getter kind of a person. He is very active, very competitive, and very energetic. And because from the third house we can see courage, so he is very courageous, and he is very outspoken as well, because this is what an exalted Mars does in whatever house he is. But here he is in exalted in the house of communication and self-effort. So this person would be like bubbling with self-confidence, very active, very go-getter, and very bold and very outspoken. But while we say all these things, actually we have to look at the whole horoscope very carefully, look at the Kundli very carefully, because especially for Mars or any planet, we have to see the dignity, and especially at what degrees Mars here is sitting. If Mars is, say, sitting at 28 degrees, then it is very nice. Because why is Mars exalted at 28 degrees? Because in astrology, the exaltation point, the degrees for Mars, is at the later stages compared to the other planets. 28 degree, that is the peak exaltation of Mars. Why is that? Because Mars is a very hot planet, very energetic, very active, very bold, and very like dominating kind of a person. He will die, but he will not accept defeat. So when the degrees of a particular planet are more, then the energy level of that planet comes down, the youthfulness comes down. What is youthfulness for Mars? Here, due to increase in degrees, it's not that it will actually be better for Mars, because undue enthusiasm and boldness and unnecessary over maleficness of Mars is reduced when it is at the later degrees, and it is at the peak when it is at 28 degrees. This is the reason why Mars is exalted at its peak exaltation at 28 degrees. So if he is at 28 degrees, then it is very good. But if Mars is in the early degrees in Capricorn, what happens? One more thing happens is that if he is around 2 degrees or 3 degrees in Capricorn, then Mars will also be exalted in Navamsa. So, and he would be less in experience, so he would be very dominating and very outspoken. But if he is at 28 degrees, then he would be in Virgo in Navamsa, and then he will be more mature. He will be able to handle the exaltation of Mars in a better fashion. And again, from here, Mars aspects the sixth house. His Mars rules the ascendant and the sixth house, and he's seated in the third house. He is looking at the sixth house, so he will defeat the enemies, and he will be very righteous, and he will defeat the enemies in all those instances where he is following the dharma, where he is right, where he is righteous, and then the enemy cannot stand. He will just annihilate, he will kill the enemies, he will vanquish the enemies. But while saying so, you also have to look at two things. I always, whenever I discuss on an exalted Mars, there are three things that especially I point out. Number one, look at the position of the moon. If moon, say, is weak, is in the ascendant, debilitated in Scorpio, then there will be a problem. Then this, don't think that this position, exalted Mars in the third house, is good. This is a karmically bad position. This person will have to deal with a situation where this person tries to do something very positively, and he'll try to dominate. But when he tries to dominate, when he looks at the sixth house and tries to vanquish his enemies, the stress which the sixth house creates, this person is unable to digest. He is unable to bear that stress. If moon, Mars is exalted but moon is debilitated, now for this reason, if this is so, then this position becomes a negatively karmic position, where the person, his first initial reaction to any event would be to dominate, but then he will back off because he'll be unable to take the sheer stress of this, what happens in the sixth house, the disputes, stress which is generated by his dominating nature, and the disputes which arise from the sixth house due to his dominance. This person will be unable to take that. So there will be like a situation where he will dominate and back off, dominate and back off. Say, second thing, you have to see where how the depositor is placed. If it's not that Mars exalted in the third house is always very good. These kind of things you will find people telling you on the net. But if, say, Saturn is not well placed, if, say, Saturn is in the ninth house in Cancer, then again this is a very karmic position where the person will initially try to dominate, but somehow gurus, acharyas, father and fatherly figures and government will not support, will not like his dominating nature, and they will try to control him, control his dominance. Because in this case, if Mars is exalted in the third house and say Saturn is in the ninth house in Cancer, because there is a mutual aspect of Saturn and Mars, even if Saturn here is the depositor, who is supposed to protect the position of Mars, but because he is in Cancer, then what happens is there is a kind of dispute, planetary war, where actually initially the person tries to dominate, but the uh, and he will try. So there could be situations such as the person will try to dominate on the younger sibling, and the father doesn't like that. So whenever he dominates and try to get benefit from the younger sibling, he will try to unnecessarily bully on the younger sibling. The father will try to crush his dominance, will try to uh, tell him that don't be dominating towards your younger sibling. This is kind of situation that might arise if Saturn is not supporting him and is placed in the ninth house. Or if Mars is in the third house exalted, these people are very bold. But if Saturn is placed in the ninth house in Cancer, then this person will kind of be might be coward at times. There might be situations where he might, if Saturn and Moon, if they don't support, then especially if Saturn is in the ninth house in Cancer, then this person might be afraid of being alone, or be afraid of going in dark places, or switching off light at night, or if he will have security type of issues. He would like his parents or siblings surrounding him, and he will feel insecure at night. This type of situations might be there if Saturn is placed in the ninth house in Cancer, even if Mars here is exalted. So actually you have to look at the whole dignity of the horoscope. Otherwise, if Mars and if Saturn and Moon is well placed, if the horoscope, other planetary alignments are fine, then this position in itself is extremely superb. But again, in this day and age, you will say I'm more telling you about, this is a fantastic position, Mars exalted in the third house, Mars being Karka of the third house, and I'm telling you all negatives about this position. But what happens is that in this day and age, exaltation of Mars, many a times I have seen, is for a negative karmic negative karmic experience. Whenever there is exalted Mars, many a times I'm very cautious. I look at the horoscope very carefully. Many a times it is a negative position, because what happens in this day and age, there is democracy, and in democracy, a very dominating exalted Mars, people don't like when you say things on the face, and exalted Mars does that. He will say, see, this he is very righteous, and when he is in on the path of dharma, which he is always, almost, because he is right, he will do the right thing, and then he will take on the enemy from the front, while the enemy will fight from the back. He will punch him from the back. When this person dominates, the enemies will they will show respect to him. They will say that yes, you win, okay. But then they will backbite from behind. This usually happens with an exalted Mars in this day and age. So, if Saturn and Moon doesn't support this exalted Mars, then this position, many a times I've seen such position, exalted Mars anywhere, it gives more of negative results. And because here Mars is the ascendant lord, so when if it is the depositor is not well placed, Moon is not well placed, and if the dominance of Mars, if the natural nature of Mars here is not well accepted by the horoscope, then the physical body and health, physical health will suffer from this position. And if Saturn, Moon, and the horoscope is well placed, then this position is like extremely excellent. So this was my analysis for the Scorpio Ascendant, Mars being exalted in the third house. If you like this episode, don't forget to press the like button, and please don't forget to share this video. It is very important for me. Until next episode, this is Vishal Sathye signing off for now. Bye.